Hello again, and once again, and welcome to the Anything Else podcast. I'm your lovely host, Mr. Olli Eldrick. Joining me in the co-host and producer chair today with Mr. Alex Lins.
Yep. And you need to slow down, buddy. You're excited. Holy
I love
crap.
doing it fast. And joining us in the guests today, we have the wonderful, the wholesome, the everywhere and nutritional, Mr. Jon Ostrander, also known as Sandwich Dad. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. I love the videos. Been watching them for ages.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've been slower on the videos these days. I've been busy doing a few other projects, but it's really I love coming out and meeting other people because when all you do is make sandwiches and work and have like 3 kids, you don't actually ever see any other adults a lot of the time. So
we can be the adult company that you need.
Exactly. Like podcasts are the only time I get to meet other adults now.
It's pretty sad though if somebody's at the point where we are the best, closest thing to adults they've got.
I mean, to be fair, there was a time that pretty much we were playing gigs just to socialize with people.
This is true.
Yeah.
So it's not entirely unheard of.
I might start doing my own live Sandwich Dad shows just so I can hang out with people.
Actually, I think that would kill. That'd be really good.
Soon, we're working on it.
Any other projects you can tell us about coming up? Or?
The main one right now is I'm doing some work with the band The Radiant. There's a little multimedia show they've got going on October 11th at the Broadway Theater. And I'm doing a monologue in it.
Nice.
Just at the beginning of the show, it's got sets. It's got sort of like a big video component that I'm also doing a lot of point of view kind of starring in, which is kind of neat. And I've been doing a little bit of work with that. It's not my wife's band. My wife's band is the Naysayers, and she's not super pleased that I'm doing it, but that's her problem. So.
Well, if she comes up with her own multimedia experience, I'm sure
I think she probably will, just to make sure, and then I have to do it, right?
Yeah, it's a good way of enforcing marital bliss is to force projects on each other. I think.
Well, exactly, and I'm doing like a very quick. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but at Art Bar on October 4th, I'm opening for my friend Carolyn Mark.
Nice.
Oh, amazing.
Who you may know as, I don't know, songstress of the last 20 years from Vancouver Island. And we've been friends for a while. And the last time Carolyn asked me to do anything with her was in 2012. She asked me and my old band to be her backing band for the Fred Eaglesmith picnic. And I had to decline, being like, I don't actually know how to play other people's songs. I'm just a singer. You can take the other guys if you want, but I don't think you need me there.
I didn't know you were a musician.
I used to be. We used to tour a little bit. And it was funny because Carolyn asked me again a year ago. She said, hey, do you want to open for me? And we played with each other a few times musically, but not in the last decade or so. And so I said, well, musically or as Sandwich Dad? She's like, oh, Sandwich Dad. So I'm going to do something at that show on October 4th at our bar with Carolyn. I might just make a sandwich and talk, but we'll see.
It's been working for Barry over at Sandwiches of History. He's been making sandwiches in front of people, and it's been killing. So
yeah, and I've been
he's not come to Canada. You can monopolize.
And like Barry and I have been good friends since he started, right? Like we both started at the same time. And we were like the 2 sandwich guys on TikTok for a while. Like the only 2 that were like doing this, the kind of like wholesome, older, non-problematic man thing that we do, right? And so we've been pals for a while. And Barry just, he shot up and up and up. And he's been doing this book tour for the last year. And I keep like being like, hey, you got any tips? Basically, I just want to tell him exactly what he's doing at his show because I couldn't make his Toronto one in July.
Yeah.
I'm like, just tell me what you're doing so I can copy it. But there was another sort of online Canada.gov.ca. If you follow that Instagram account, the admin did a show at Art Bar back in January, which was really great. And it was one of those things where it's like, what's this show going to be? This is an Instagram account, and it was really fun. It was a really great time. It was like 2 sold-out shows at like 7 and 9.
Yeah,
and he's been doing it around the country, and he did a big West Coast tour this summer, and it's been super successful. So I think maybe that's the next step is starting to, I don't know, make sandwiches live. People seem to like it.
Honestly, as much as I love music and going to gigs and playing gigs, I am very intrigued and excited by this like new wave of. It's almost like it's almost postmodern art in a way of doing bits that aren't fully structured comedy, fully structured anything. I've been really enjoying it.
It's Kaufman-esque.
Yeah,
it is a bit.
I avoided getting on TikTok for ages because there's a there's a bias again, and a whole whole idea of what it is. And I was like, I don't need to see dancing teenagers. That doesn't.
And that's what I thought it was too. I was like, I'm not going to dance, and I'm not going to,
But then I found Barry's Instagram, but I kept finding it hard to keep up with. So I was like, I'll get TikTok, and I followed that, and then I came across and now it is pretty much get language content, like linguistics and sandwiches. That's all
That's perfect.
That's all I engage with.
The one thing I'll say about the TikTok algorithm is when it's accurate, it's right on. Like when you start liking certain things, and that's how I kind of got into it too. I made one video that was just like, I'll just make this sandwich. 'Cause I already had Sandwich Dad as a blog and as an Instagram account, but I wasn't doing any video. And then I just happened to make one, and it I'd never had anything be so successful in my life. Like I said, I was a musician before, and you're lucky if you get your friends won't even like your stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, I have so many friends who will follow me, but no one actually likes my posts. No one gives a crap. And then all of a sudden, I made a sandwich, and a bunch of strangers on TikTok were like, "Bravo, sir!" Like 90,000 of them, and I was like, "That's a number that I've never had 90,000 of anything."
Yeah,
like
that's amazing.
But once that algorithm grabs you, and then I've met so many sandwich friends off there too.
You went to. I know we will get to the proper thing in a minute, but because you went to Quebec with Jim, didn't you?
I did, yes, and Jim is. I have to say he's probably the most scholarly sandwich expert in the world, as far as I know.
It's him or George Motes.
But I mean, George Motes is he's more burgers. I mean, he's got the sandwiches, and I feel like Jim is like the George Motes of sandwiches. But I feel like with burgers, there is a little bit of a fence around you, whereas when sandwiches, the fence is a lot wider.
And he's broadened it a lot.
And he started doing. Something that a lot of people did, and it was kind of how I almost started Sandwich Dad. Was there is a Wikipedia page with a list of sandwiches, right? And you go down, you're like, wow, there's a lot here. But then you start getting down the rabbit hole of sandwiches, and you're like, oh, there's a bunch that aren't on this list. But Jim's initial thing was to eat every sandwich on the list of sandwiches. And he's been doing it for 11 years now. He's written over 1 million words on sandwiches, and is if there is a sandwich that exists in the world and Jim hasn't made it, it's probably a very obscure sandwich. Yeah. I was talking to him the other day because we've become pretty good, close friends. And he's like, and I was talking to him about the Sandwiches of Canada thing that I do, and talking about a couple new ones that I found out. I was actually talking to him specifically about the Italian Star Deli sandwich in Regina, and how I feel like that is actually its own thing. And that's something I'm going to do a deep dive on another time. But I was telling Jim about it, and he said if there's any other Sandwiches of Canada that aren't on my list, because he shared his future list with me. Yeah. Let me know. And so I gave him a few. The one he hasn't done yet that's coming probably by this next February, he's going to do the Saskatchewan Fragilaki.
Oh, that'll be really cool
coming soon, because that's one that he hasn't done yet. So coming soon. But yeah, I mean, I have all these sandwich friends now. Like Jim and Barry and I do a podcast together whenever we can find the time.
I didn't know you guys did a podcast.
We only have 2 episodes. It's been almost a year since we did our last episode. Yeah. And it's because all of us, I mean, especially Barry, because he's been on his book tour, have been just too busy to do anything. But our 2 guests, where we had Bill Oakley, former showrunner from The Simpsons, fast food critic and all-around fun food guy. And then we had Jake from Roll for Sandwich, Adventures in Ardia, another hugely popular sandwich account, probably the most popular TikTok sandwich account. Yeah. Lizzo retweets him, So. But those are our 2 episodes we've had so far. We'll get to another one eventually. Right. We just haven't found time that all 3 of us are.
Well, hopefully soon, because I'm definitely going to listen to those 2 episodes and then be very.
Yeah, you should. It's just called Sandwich Talk. And there are 2 episodes in there. I don't think they'll be too dated, although maybe some of the sandwich news will be.
Alex, I will say this is the nichest thing that I'm really, really into, and I keep wanting to get you into it, because the Jim stuff especially is more historic and anthropologic and nice, as much as it is sandwich. And he's done a few English ones, and he's good. He puts in the effort.
Jim puts in more effort than I could even. I mean, both of those guys, even though I feel like we're cohorts and we're kind of doing the same things, those guys put in way more effort than I do, man. like Barry literally puts out a video every single day. I don't know how the hell he does that. I can't. if I put out 2 a week, I'm like, pat on the back, man. You got some you got some stuff done this week. And then Jim like goes at a very controlled pace. He only does 3 sandwiches for his blog a month. And he's like, yeah, that's a lot for me. 3 a month is good. But he's been doing it steady for 11 years. And when he does it, like, he will go to any length to get an authentic ingredient. Using a replacement is like, you can tell that it hurts him if he can't find like the one specific chili that's only part of like a regional sandwich in in Argentina or something. He's like, the Argentinian store I visited on the outskirts of Chicago didn't have it, but they said this one is close, so don't come for me. It's like, no one's coming for you, Jim.
He did one a few months ago where he just it was like a gas station sandwich available at like 3 gas stations in Southern California.
Yeah,
and he's like, unfortunately, I couldn't find these. It's fine.
He went and visited Barry for that one because it's near San Jose where Barry lives. The tri-tip, I think. Yeah.
You've got to get into it, man. It's so good. Dallas would love it, honestly.
Get Dallas into it. That's Dallas.
Anyway,
right up Dallas.
as much as I want to keep talking about this, because again, very, very much my wheelhouse and definitely yours.
Absolutely.
We are going to bring down the curtain of having to talk about
anything else.
Anything else, yeah.
So what are you going to lay on? You've already told me. Unless you've changed your mind.
Well, I was thinking about it on the way over, and like the thing that I know the most about besides sandwiches, and one of the reasons that I started doing this and doing the research that I do, which again compared to Jim's is I'm not going to say minimal, but it's not as deep. I used to be a sort of an amateur historian and interpreter and guide for Parks Canada in the Yukon. And I worked at a couple of different sites there. I actually worked in Batoche here in Saskatchewan as well for a while. But I worked at the Klondike National Historic Site for a number of years.
That's so rad.
And I worked at the Chilkoot Trail Historic Site for a number of years. So I used to do a lot of really deep dives into Klondike, Gold Rush, Northwest history, dating back to like some of the the first Hudson's Bay explorers going up that way, and going back to like the any sort of the tales of the First Nations culture back that way, leading sort of all the way up into the Gold Rush, and then even into sort of like modern strange tales of Yukon, Alaska area.
Yeah.
So that is kind of my second wheelhouse. But when I stopped doing that job, which I stopped mostly because I had 3 children. And it is not a full-time job. Like many things in parks and things in Canada, it is very seasonal.
Yeah.
And there's only so much work that the government will pay for when you read poetry to senior citizens in the wintertime. So, either they'll find you some office work to do for a couple of months, but usually you're not working more than 8 months at that job, and then you got to find other stuff, which was fine for a while, because I did voice work and I did a few other things. But then I had too many children. It wasn't enough money. I needed to find a full-time job. And so I transferred to Service Canada, which is not as fun.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And I needed something else, anything else, as it were, to research and talk about in my spare time so that I didn't go nuts. And that was where Sandwich Dad came from, and all the researching and the writing of sandwiches. And all I've ever wanted to do is talk about sandwiches in front of people. That's why that show is going to come. Because I used to just give presentations to people as a living.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to do it again, but I want to make sure I do it the right way. Anyways, getting back to the anything else part. When I talk about Klondike history, like, I could go on for a really long time. I used to give a program at the Robert Service Cabin. If anyone's not familiar with Robert Service, the cremation of Sam McGee, shooting of Dan McGrew.
Yeah.
The famous old verse. My house in Dawson City, Yukon, was just, I could see his house from my kitchen window kind of thing.
Awesome.
The old cabin. And I used to work there as an interpreter, and I would give the program. The program was an hour. I never kept it under an hour, and I tried really hard. We had a shortened program for bus tourists that was supposed to be a half an hour, and the 45 minutes was the best I could do. I'm not going to talk about Robert Service, though. If you want, I will do a Robert Service poem off the top. I can do any of those by memory at all times. But I feel like if I'm going to talk about something that I know a little bit about, it has to be something that no one else outside of the Yukon really knows about, but is also really interesting. And that is Klondike Joe Boyle.
Oh, please. I have I know the word Klondike, and I know that the last bit is a name. I know nothing else.
perfect.
I'm enraptured. Imagine I feel like a child at story time again.
Yeah.
I'm so interested.
To me, it's unbelievable that we as Canadians, I mean, we don't know enough about some of our very interesting people. Canada's a very big place. There's a lot of regions, a lot of differences. There's a lot of much older culture and stories from the First Nations people. There's lots of very specific East Coast, Central, Prairie, West Coast, North stories. There's so much, it's almost an information overload. But there are some that shine through that it's really strange that we don't know more about this, because this guy's story is literally, if this were a movie, it would have won every Oscar. And barely anybody knows about it.
Yeah.
They know bits of his story, but they don't know that he's the guy. And so if you talk about like stories of the Klondike or weird stories, Joe Boyle is involved in some part of it. Somewhere he's there. The whole story of the Klondike, there's a bit of Joe Boyle in almost every single aspect of it.
Yeah.
Except for like the earlier parts, of course, because he wasn't quite there yet. But so, do you want me to just launch into Joe Boyle?
Set the scene for us.
Okay. So, Joseph Whiteside Boyle was born in Woodstock, Ontario. I can't remember the year because I haven't worked for Parks Canada for a while, and it was a while back.
Oh yeah.
Let's just say he was a man in the 1890s. So you do the math on your own, figure it out. So Joe and his he had a few older brothers. His dad was raised horses and sold race horses out of their farm in Woodstock, Ontario. Often they'd go down to places like New York City to sell their race horses or do something with race horses. I can't remember exactly. But Joe went down there for a trip when he was 17 with his brother and his dad. Went to New York. His dad and his brother are off doing horse stuff. Brother comes back to the hotel room, and there's a note. And it says, "I've gone to sea. Don't worry about me. Joe." Gone. For like 3 years. No one knew anything about anything.
Yeah.
He literally found like a merchant vessel, hopped on board, got him with the crew, and sailed around the world for like 3 years at 17. And, basically came back a man. 3 years later, he shows back up in New York City. He's got like a big stake in like this trading empire from some merchant vessel. He's doing pretty well for himself. He's like, I guess at this point, like 20 years old. Doing quite well. Shows up, is basically a man of New York. Has a shipping company. Gets married, his wife has all the furs, has like, a Manhattan apartment kind of thing. Screw that, too boring for Joe Boyle. He literally just spent 3 years at sea. Mm-hmm. Not enough. Around that time, he starts hearing whispers of like, the Klondike. And this would have been like, the main strike of the Klondike, for those who don't know, was in the summer of 1896. Word travels really slow. A lot of people didn't get there to the winter of 97. The main part of the rush happened in 1898. Joe was part of the ones who heard about it early, like late 1896, made his way across the country to Seattle. And when he was doing that, he was actually not going to go up to mine gold. He wanted to go up there as a boxing promoter.
Fair enough.
So he had this, I can't remember the name of his friend who was the fighter. I believe he was a Russian guy, and his name it slips my mind at the moment. But in any case, he was going up there with his fighter to basically be a boxing promoter.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of guys up there. They're going to want to see some actually organized fights. Mm-hmm. So he goes to Seattle, then to Victoria, takes a boat up to Juneau, Alaska, and starts trying to promote these fights. There's stories of times when the fights just they wouldn't happen due to some legal issues or something or other, and instead of giving the money back, Joe would get up and perform for people so they wouldn't be all pissed off that they lost all their money on this fight that wasn't actually going to happen. And there's random stories about that. A lot of those kind of slipped my mind. But he was a boxing promoter, and then eventually his boxing organization got shut down. He couldn't do boxing anymore, and was it Frank Slavin? Was that his name? I think it was Frank Slavin was his boxing partner's name. They went up to Skagway, and they're like, well, maybe we'll try and head up to the goldfields. The boxing thing isn't working out. Maybe if we get there at the same time, we can do some more of that when we get up to this new Dawson City. And they get to Skagway and Dyea, which were two sort of sister towns at the time. One is where you started the Chilkoot Trail, and there was another pass that people were talking about called the White Pass route. And it was a bit shorter, or pardon me, it was a bit, it wasn't as steep as the Chilkoot Trail. So if you think of like the Gold Rush, there's like a photo that you see of just black and white of a line of guys on this very steep, 45-degree incline with giant packs on climbing up. There wasn't this on the White Pass. But the White Pass wasn't really as easy, especially if you're trying to bring horses. It was also known as the Dead Horse Trail for a while.
Right.
But Joe and a party decided they were actually going to make sure that this trail was like staked out. No, not a lot of people were taking it. They were all going up the Chilkoot. And so Joe took and a bunch of other guys decided they were going to be the not the first ones, but the ones to actually stake out the White Pass Trail.
Yeah.
So they're staking it along, trying to find the easiest route, doing their best to put the posts there. The rest of the party, they lost a bunch of provisions. There wasn't a whole lot left. They weren't sure if they were going to make it to the summit and then be able to make it back. And Joe said, "You guys go back. I'll go to the summit. I'll meet you back up there in a couple of days." Sure enough, he was the first one to get to mark the top of the White Pass summit. They came and got him. And the White Pass route is now where now and in the early part of the years, where the White Pass train goes. The route that Joe Boyle staked is where the White Pass train from Skagway up to Whitehorse
really cool.
eventually went. Huh. Joe Boyle staked that. Anyway, gets up to Dawson City. Joe's in Dawson. He's getting into mining a little bit. Not really doing too good at it, but his whole thing was there's got to be like a bigger industrial way to do this. All these guys sitting out here with pans, that's not going to last forever. We're at an age where there's big machines are going to come in, and I want to be the guy who is, the main guy in the big industrial mining here. All this pan stuff is only going to last for so long. These guys are all going to get bought out by richer people eventually. They're going to make their money, and they're going to get the hell out of here. So he keeps going back and forth between the Yukon and Ottawa for several years, so he can get the patent and the rights to make a giant concession along the Klondike River. And a concession would be where all the previous claims were amalgamated into one concession for a corporation, because normally you couldn't have more than one claim, even if you were a corporation. So the government would have had to grant this concession. And eventually they did. So the entire stretch of Dawson City from the Klondike River all the way up to a place called Bear Creek, that was called the Boyle Concession. He got all of that for his own Canadian Klondike Mining Company. I might be saying that wrong. The acronym is escaping me for a moment. But Joe Boyle was the first one to get the concession for industrial mining, and then his company built the dredges in Dawson City. These were the gigantic mining machines that essentially floated on the water. One end was digging up, the other end was spitting out, and these gigantic tumblers inside were tumbling out all the gold and everything else.
Yeah.
And Joe Boyle essentially moved the Klondike River back and forth several times in front of his home at Bear Creek, which I used to live right next to.
Nice.
When I was an interpreter there, I lived in the house right next to Joe Boyle's house.
Was it old?
In his old compound for the Canadian Klondike Mining Corporation.
That's awesome.
But anyway, he moved the Klondike River back and forth a few times. His company was, kind of fighting back and forth with another company that was kind of owned in part by the Guggenheims out of New York, and they had rival companies. Eventually, they merged, but we'll get to that when we finish the story of Joe Boyle. The industrial mining part is not the most exciting part, but safe to say, after all of the old prospectors and miners and the long beards and the dancing guys with their pickaxes were gone, it was Joe Boyle who showed up, and he was the one that was making all the money in Dawson City. He was he replaced some of the old bigger guys there who were the magnates before, who were owning all the claims and doing this lay systems of like leasing parts of their claims and things. Joe basically flattened all of that. And his work can still be seen. If you ever drive up to Dawson City, Yukon, or look at it on a map aerially, you'll see these gigantic gray caterpillars of what is essentially industrial waste from moving the river several times, of tailing piles of just waste gravel from where the dredges went through in the Klondike River Valley.
Crazy.
Highly recommend doing a little aerial Google Maps of that. You can see Joe Boyle's work. And when you drive into town, you're like, what is this? This is just piles of rocks all the way into this historic city. That was Joe Boyle. He did all that. Not necessarily the greatest. So now you're saying, well, why are you talking so much about this guy? Well, Joe Boyle was also an avid hockey fan. Joe had, overseen some things like the Dawson City Athletic Association being built, and decided he was going to sort of be the de facto coach of Dawson City's hockey team, which was the Dawson City Nuggets. And he thought his boys were good enough to challenge for the Stanley Cup. Joe had some connections in Ottawa. At the time, the holders of the Stanley Cup were the Ottawa Silver Seven. And at that time, the cup was still a challenge cup.
Yeah.
So in 1905, the challenge of the Dawson City Nuggets against the Ottawa Silver Seven was accepted. And that winter, Joe and the Dawson City hockey team, they took dog sled from Dawson City down to Whitehorse. It was unseasonably warm. They actually ended up, I think, some of them even rode bikes, I think someone said, part of the way to get down to Skagway. They missed their boat in Skagway that would have taken them to Vancouver, so they had to wait an extra week. Then they took their boat to Victoria, got on a train, took the train all the way across the country to Ottawa. But by that time, the match was like the next day because they had missed their boat. They were way late. They didn't really have a whole lot of time to practice, and they'd been on the road for essentially 2 weeks. So a bit exhausted, they decided they would go on and they were still going to play. They weren't going to chicken out or anything. They were still good enough. They figured they could take on the Ottawa Silver Seven, the Stanley Cup champions for several years now.
Yeah.
They went on and bravely strapped on their skates, got onto the ice in Ottawa, and set a Stanley Cup record for the most lopsided loss of all time in Stanley Cup history. I think it was something like 14-2 or something like that. But it was best of 3, right?
Yeah.
So the next game, they get back on the ice. They managed to score a goal, but only one. And I think it was again like 14-1 or something like that. But it was they lost 2 games very, very badly. Partially because they were tired, or so they said, but partially because they were just a ragtag bunch of guys from up in the north who just happened to be minors and not professional hockey players. But they're also responsible for the reason that the Stanley Cup is no longer a challenge cup. After that, they were like, oh, right, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to have like an actual tournament so that we don't have this crap anymore. But that was Klondike Joe Boyle. He was the one that made that happen. And if you go and see the Stanley Cup, to this day in the Hockey Hall of Fame, right along the bowl, it says Ottawa versus Dawson, 1905.
Yeah.
That's as good as Klondike Joe Boyle's name being on the Stanley Cup.
And if it's on the bowl there, it shall remain.
And on the bowl there, it shall remain. Ottawa versus Dawson, 1905.
Let's not talk about the score.
No, we're not talking about this. They're still on the cup. And so Joe, he's a little upset, but he goes back and he continues to be this magnate in Dawson City and the head of this extremely successful Canadian Klondike Gold Mining Corporation. His dredges are still working really well. The old days of Dawson are gone. This is about the time like Robert Service would have been coming to town, maybe. Oh, I'm there. I'm sure they hung out at some point or met at some point. They were always, once Robert Service was popular, they were at galas together and things like that. But Joe, at the same time, he had a lot of children, back and forth, a number of wives, went back and forth from Ottawa to Dawson quite often, but still lived up in Dawson City at his house in Bear Creek, which I lived next to. But then the First World War broke out. And being the citizen that Joe was, always looking for a new adventure, was like, well, I'm going to head up the 1st Dawson City Machine Gun Battalion. And we're going to take our boys down to war. And he made himself a uniform that had like gold nuggets as buttons and basically like made himself the head of this and was like, no, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Let's go. Took the boys down to, I can't remember where they sailed off from. I think they must have gone through Ottawa and then eventually maybe Montreal. but took the Dawson City Battalion of Volunteers to go fight in the First World War. Went over to England, and the problem with Joe was, even though that Joe was super successful and had all these amazing stories about him, is the Canadian government was still very, kind of British at the time, and they were a little embarrassed by Joe and his big, gigantic gold nugget uniform and his, just his brashness and all the rest of it. And so they were like, I don't know if we're going to let you go. We'll take your boys. They'll go into basic training. Maybe we have a different mission for you. Like, you're kind of a logistics guy. You figure out a lot of stuff in the Klondike. How about this? How about we send you to Russia and you help them figure out their trains? Because they're we can't get their troops there in time.
Oh my God.
Did he was he working with Shackleton then?
I don't know if he worked with Shackleton. I've never read that he worked with Shackleton. But he was in Russia but before the Bolshevik Revolution, when Russia was still part of the Allied forces in the First World War. He went over there and basically helped all their trains run on time.
Yeah.
And so much so that he got a Medal of Honor from the Tsar of Russia. They loved him. They loved Joe Boyle in his big, silly uniform. As time went on, of course, the revolution happened. Russia left the war, and the Bolshevik Revolution happened. So the Russia was no longer friendly. Joe left, and the Brits were like, well, you know what? We need some help with the royalty in Romania. They're not feeling so good about this, assassination of the Tsar and everything. Why don't you go and hang out with them? And we don't want to deal with it. Joe, you hang out with them. You can be there. You can be strategy for them, and they'll be fine with you. So he went over there, and that was the sort of official position. But he was also meant to be a bit of a spy for the Brits. Yeah. To kind of try and get any, if there's any, Russian descent or any, communist descent, to kind of be there in Romania to stomp it out or report back.
Yeah.
So he was a spy for the British in Romania.
That's awesome.
And he became really close with the royal family. He lived with them.
The Romanian or British royal family?
The Romanian royal family. Lived with them. Was very close with the Queen Mary, who was herself a Brit.
Yes,
but of course, with those imperialistic times, everyone was kind of related in royalty in Europe, right? Yeah. So he became very good friends with the Queen, and many say very, very good friends with the Queen. A lot of people say that Joe Boyle was having an affair with the Queen of Romania, and we'll come back to that in a second. Jesus. But he loved being there in Romania. He became a second father. Second father, quote unquote, to some of the children of the royal family there.
He was Romanian Rasputin.
Yeah. A little bit. But Romania was having a lot of troubles, of course, because they used to be pretty close with Russia. Russia was now under Bolshevik control. And they're like, Joe, you know what? We left our crown jewels in Moscow, bud. And he's like, we'll deal with that. Don't worry about it. I know a lot of Russians. I help their trains work. We'll just take a train in there and we'll get it done. And so he managed to go in and rescue the Romanian crown jewels in Moscow, just using his, knowledge of the country and kind of sneaking past the Bolsheviks here and there. But then, on the way back into Romania, some soldiers stopped the train. And Joe, being the good Yukoner that he was like, "No, just come on board. Yeah, come on. Let's hang out. Here, I managed to get a bunch of vodka here." Which he had stolen from a silo he found on fire earlier in that day at the train. So the train was also loaded with a bunch of Russian vodka. And he used his hosting skills to bring all the soldiers onto the train and basically got them completely blackout drunk. And when he did, they had set up a blockade for the train. He went up to the engineer and said, "All right, let's go." And the engineer said, "Well, there's a blockade. What am I going to do?" And Joe pulled out his pistol and said, "Run the blockade." And so the conductor, with all these passed out Russians on board, ran through the Bolshevik blockade. And they threw the soldiers out the train when they were still drunk and continued on to Romania with the Romanian crown jewels. And he became known from that day forth as the savior of Romania. Like, literally the best guy in Romania for absolutely everybody. Not just the Queen loved him, everybody loved him. He also, at one point, rescued a bunch of stranded Romanians that were on the Crimean Peninsula through his just diplomacy and a few sneaky tactics, getting them off the Crimean Peninsula and back across the Black Sea to Romania. at one point, he was eventually entrusted with taking the Romanian crown prince to England. Oh, I'm getting a hold of myself. He was there at the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. I should say that.
Yeah.
He was there. Why not? Because he was
if you're in the neighborhood.
He was on the way. He was on the way to take the Romanian crown prince for a private audience with George V, because they were related, of course.
Yeah.
And to get him into like a good school in England. Had a private audience with the king. And started feeling a little bit sick when he was there. So eventually got sick, had a couple strokes, and eventually passed away there in England after his visit with the king, and a pretty intense life well lived.
Mm-hmm.
Honored by the Brits, by the Russians, and by the Romanians. Never awarded anything from his home country in Canada. Oh. They were still embarrassed by him.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, I can't remember if it was the late 80s or early 90s, eventually he was brought back, his remains were brought back to Canada and interned in the cemetery in Woodstock, Ontario, where he was from. Took a long time coming and a lot of pressure from his family, because he'd have a lot of children.
Yeah.
He had a lot of wives and a lot of children back in Canada. There's more stories about, like, one of his wife's names was nicknamed Mink for her mink coats that she was constantly wearing. And there's the one story that kind of goes before that I may have kind of told out of order, because I always get excited about it. Coming back to the Romanian queen, is that every year, once a year, a mysterious veiled woman in black would visit his grave in England, very, very closely matching the description of Mary, the Queen of Romania. And I know it's a really long story, and I'm probably missing some pretty good parts in there, because I haven't told it out loud to anyone in a while, because literally nobody cares for some reason. But if that whole story was compounded and put into like a mini-series or a movie...
Yeah.
It'd be a pretty incredible mini-series or movie that everyone would talk about, right? But no one has.
Yeah.
It's just the story of one guy from Dawson City who took the team to the Stanley Cup, staked out the White Pass Trail, hero in the First World War, gold nuggets, Klondike gold nuggets on his uniform.
Bang, the Queen of Romania.
Maybe sired a king.
Yeah, maybe sired a future royal. Who knows? But one of the most interesting and coolest people I've ever read about in Canada. Like, unbelievable stuff. And no one really, south of 60, knows much about him.
Yeah.
In Woodstock, Ontario, maybe too, but you don't hear much about him otherwise.
I'll tell you what, as somebody who has worked in museums and done like similar thing to you, I'm so impressed that you still remember that spiel. Like, because I was
trying to go back to my spiel. I don't remember my spiel. I was like, and what would I say to a crowd of like senior citizens from Holland America tours? I might have had like more jokes and more like fun stuff in there.
Of course.
And I probably was also trying to keep it to like 5 minutes, because we were sitting in some like old building somewhere, and I'm like, oh, this tour's going to go forever if I keep talking. I might have condensed it a bit, but we also used to be characters. I never got to be Klondike Joe Boyle.
Yeah.
I was always Big Alex McDonald on the stage at the Palace Grand Theater. But I also listened to my cohorts who played Joe Boyle talk about their exploits over and over again too. So
that's so cool.
Awesome.
One of whom another Saskatoonian, Andy Roebuck, was always Joe Boyle when I used to be there. So.
Lucky, yeah. I love historical interpretations of that. I never got to do it, unfortunately. There were a couple places in my hometown that did it and do it really well, but I never did. Have you done? Yeah, you've done historical.
What?
You have, because I've got the picture of you.
Kid, technically speaking, I'm not being anyone specific in that photo. We just dressed up for that day.
I'm still taking it.
Yeah, whatever.
Actually, I did do it once. My mother used to run Heritage Days at a lace factory in Nottingham.
Oh, okay,
which is my hometown. When I was 10 or 11. And because my parents couldn't afford childcare, I'd go with her and dress up as a Victorian urchin and run like the games, like to mind the kids that had come.
Yeah.
So I was just in the courtyard playing Skittles with logs. It was great fun. And there's a picture of me. Yeah, I think. Have you seen the picture of me?
I don't think I've seen that.
I'll send it to you. You'd love it.
I definitely took my oldest daughter a couple times on like the parades when there was a Canada Day and a Discovery Day parade usually that Parks Canada would dress up for, and we'd have some weird theme. And I'd usually take my oldest daughter, But she's 15 now. She wouldn't go now, but
Yeah.
But she did back then.
she did back then.
Because she didn't have a choice.
That's right. Yeah.
No, I love doing stuff like that when I was a kid, to be fair.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, I mean, there's so many old costumes, so like just weird old buildings that you kind of have this unfettered access to. I really miss that quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Would you ever get back into it if you could, if
Yeah.
something came up in Saskatoon? Or?
You know what? What I'll probably end up doing is once my kids are grown, I'll probably go back up there and do it again for a little while.
You could play an Elder Joe Boyle.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's be more in line with the age group of the people who tend to visit Dawson. I mean, there's two age groups that visit Dawson. There are the very old and people in their 20s.
Yeah.
So there's a very big gap
Yeah.
of people who tend to visit Dawson City.
course.
But I mean, I feel like lately Canada is kind of becoming a bit smaller, and we're kind of looking inward a bit and getting to know each other a little bit better. So I'm hoping that might change.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I've always wanted to go to Dawson City, especially.
It's a far drive, but I mean, everywhere's a far drive.
Yeah.
I think my favorite thing about Dawson City, when I remember looking it up once, I remember I found out about the sourdough cocktail when I was about 16, 17.
I used to administer the sourdough cocktail.
That's so cool.
I worked at the sourdough saloon in the downtown hotel in the winter times when I lived
That's
out there.
so cool. That's so
and
cool.
so when the tow captain Terry wasn't around, I would administer it. But it was
But I remember looking into Dawson City then and becoming and still am fascinated to this day. My favorite thing about it is the full official name, I believe, is still the town of the city of Dawson.
That's correct. The town of the city of Dawson.
Great way of naming it.
I've realized we don't have Dallas here to like ask a stupid question.
No.
No. I'll do it then.
I love stupid questions.
Well, Dallas's stupid questions are always unrelated, basically.
Usually relates
completely.
more to wrestling.
So
than,
I won't go wrestling, but I'll ask you simply: have you ever been to Haynes Mile Pub in town?
I've been meaning to go. The problem is that like if I'm going to go to a Yukon themed place, I'm going to go to drink like I'm in the Yukon, and I can't do that in Rosewood or
trust me, you can.
Yeah, we've done it. We've been there, done that.
I mean, I can't do it as like I have to make arrangements to do it. Well, I mean, when I was in the Yukon, it was like that was just what we did.
Yeah.
But now I gotta like get back. I gotta like okay it with the missus. And like it's like I have been meaning to go.
It is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have Yukon Brewing, which is
I'll abstain.
I try. You're not a fan?
You know what? We always used to say that you can always tell a tourist because they're going to order Yukon Gold. I like it, and we all did it when we got there.
Yeah.
And you do it for a couple of years, and you're like, yeah, you know what? No thanks.
That's amazing.
Everyone always does it. But yeah, eventually you just sort of like sick of this.
They do a Yukon whiskey.
Oh yeah.
It's
It's a
interesting.
Yukon Gold Scotch.
Yeah.
And Olli and I,
Interesting.
we played a show there. We played their parking lot party a couple years ago. And Olli and I were like, let's treat ourselves. Let's get something off the Scotch list. Oh, the Yukon Gold stuff can't be one of the more expensive scotches.
Because
Like-
it had ranged from $8 to $30.
and we're like, this can't be one of the expensive ones. We
It
got a
was.
glass each.
Yeah.
And then, they bring our
Nah.
bills. We're like, $20 fucking dollars.
Yeah.
What the hell?
That's kind of what it's like when you go to buy a house in the Yukon, which is why I live here now.
I didn't expect to be paying Yukon prices in Saskatoon.
Yeah, and that's what happened too. Is we moved down because my wife owned a house in Dawson, which we sold, and we actually came back down here for a while. And she did her law degree at the U of S, and we were going back and forth in the winters, and kind of holding on to that until we could kind of get back on our feet after school. And by the time we got back on our feet in Whitehorse, the down payment from the house she sold would not get you a house in Whitehorse, so we had to come here and use it here. But hey, I'm happy I'm back here.
When you moved it, I was talking to Clayton about it the last time. When I first moved here, obviously I didn't know anything about Saskatoon or anyone here.
Yeah.
So I was following like Clayton Croak was basically my way of being like, where
Oh,
can I
sure,
go
yeah.
and drink and eat, and where can I find
Yeah.
places? But I followed you, and I was like, oh, cool, this guy's in the Yukon. I always wanted to go to the Yukon. And then he said, I'm moving to Saskatoon. I was like, that's where I live.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I grew up here too, right? So this is
Yeah.
and it was like I was saying earlier. I remember when somewhere else just started, and I was like, oh, there's 2 pubs in Avalon.
Yeah.
Because I was an old crazy cactus patron in my early 20s. back when it was like still when no one really knew about it. Too.
Yeah.
I knew it before it was cool.
and then way before it wasn't cool anymore.
Yeah.
I've been to both Crazy Cactus locations, but I've never been to the Crazy Cactus, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
Or fortunately, I'm not really sure which way to go.
Well, what do you say? Should we move on to some of our
Yeah, we can
our
move on. Thank
programming?
you so much.
That was a phenomenal segment.
I was enraptured, and I will be going home and reading.
Oh
a
man,
lot
like
about
I could do more about so many other segments of the Yukon,
actually-
but that's my favorite
Actually,
one.
because
so.
you said you could. Before we move on, can you do a Robert Surface poem?
Yes. Do you want to? I can give you a list. Which ones would you? Do you want a short one, a long
go with
one,
a
or
short
the
one.
most famous one?
We'll do a short one.
A
yeah.
short one.
A short one. Okay.
Yeah.
So this one, my favorite one is the Men Who Don't Fit In, because that one really kind of embodies, the spirit of almost everybody who lives in the Yukon. If you replace men with women or others, but it's the spirit of not fitting in is a lot of the times what brings people up there in their 20s, and then when you get there, the reason I stayed there for so long was because you suddenly feel like you feel like an other where you come from. You go up there and all of a sudden everyone else there, it's just a collection of others.
Yeah.
But I will say, just to preface it, Robert Service wrote this when he was 29.
Good age.
He was, he tried to be like a rambler and like a poet and a writer. Wasn't working out, and so he basically resigned himself to go back into the world of banking at 29 to work for CIBC. And he got transferred from a branch in Victoria up to Whitehorse, which is where he wrote this. But it was kind of like his like giving up almost at the age of 29. Thought it was all over pretty much. But it goes, there's a race of men who don't fit in, a race that can't stand still. So they break the hearts of kith and kin, and they roam the world at will. They range the field and rove the flood and climb the mountain's crest. But theirs is the curse of gypsy blood, and they don't know how to rest. If they just went straight, they might go far. They're strong and brave and true, but they're always tired of the things that are, and they want the strange and new. And they say, could I find my proper groove? What a deep mark I could make. But they chop and change, and each fresh move is only a fresh mistake. And each forgets, as he strips and runs at a brilliant, fitful pace, that it's the steady, the quiet, the plodding ones who win in the lifelong race. And then, each forgets that his youth has fled, and forgets that his prime is past, until he stands one day with a hope that's dead, in the glare of truth at last. He has failed. He has failed. He missed his chance. He just did things by half. Life's been a jolly good joke on him, and now it's time to laugh. Ha ha, he's one of the legions lost. He was never meant to win. He's a rolling stone, and it's bread and bone. He's a man who won't fit in.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic.
But so you can imagine at 29, he's back at working at a bank after unsuccessfully trying to ramble, and he's like, well, that's it for me.
Well, Alex and I don't know anything about that feeling. I was a has-been at 17.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of the story of, I'm going to go a bit further back, the story of Julius Caesar weeping at, I think, 26 or 27, when he was he was older, he was 34. So it was the age that Alexander the Great was when he died, and he had not achieved as much as the man had, and wept before his statue that he would never be remembered as he was.
Yeah, no kidding.
And then obviously all that is to come.
So I guess the secret is, if you complain about how you haven't done it enough and then write it down and send it off somewhere, oh, hey, it'll all be okay.
Yeah.
Because when Robert Service did that, he wrote that in a bunch of other connections that had Cremation of Sam McGee. He literally just sent it off to like a publisher in Toronto, and they sent him a ridiculous amount of money. He's like, what? It got published?
Yeah.
He was famous before he even knew it because word took so long to get up there.
But we'll move on to our regular segments now. I'm going to really lower the brow. Our first segment is one that we've had since season 1. It's called Who Dis. I'm going to give you the name of a real person. I'm not expecting you to know who this person is.
All right.
I just want you to give me a biology. Please don't give me a biology. A biography based on who they sound like they should be.
All right.
And your person today is Sauce Gardner. For Sandwich Dad, we have Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner. So what's the first name? What's the last name?
Sauce is the first name, as
Sauce.
in yeah.
Oh, Sauce. Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry.
I
I
have
feel like I
non-allergic
need to
accent.
translate for you. Sauce Gardener.
Sauce Gardner. Gotcha. All right, so Sauce Gardner. For some reason, I'm picturing Sauce as being like a Nordic person. Like thinning, dusty blonde hair, very like, worn features, kind of like, like sallow-cheeked, but still like looking kind of young, almost like a Daniel Craig type.
Yeah.
But like, but like not handsome. I'm going to say like collared shirt, no vest, nothing like that. Kind of standing in like a potato field, but hunched over a little bit. Definitely, I'm going to say has to be in like late 50s, early 60s, but looks a little bit older. I think this is someone who wouldn't wear suspenders, but their pants would be very baggy from a time in which they probably would have filled them out more, but they have grown a lot skinnier over the years.
I think from now on, I'm going to describe you to people as Daniel Craig, but, not handsome.
And I think he's probably holding a gardening implement, probably just because his name is Gardner.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's that. I think that's probably the best I'm going to get. And
That's
I
pretty
think,
good.
like,
I like that.
if we can go all the way down to the shoes, I feel like they're shoes that have been cobbled multiple times.
The shoe of Theseus, really.
The shoe of Theseus, yes.
I wish that this were the case. I think you're about as wrong as could be, unfortunately, to the fact. I think that in this case, fiction is better than truth, and so I think we'll stick with that one. Sauce Gardner is the cornerback for the New York Jets.
Oh, well, isn't that fun?
Sadly, Sauce is not his first legal name. Unfortunately, the fun names rarely are. Our next segment is a good one, and one I'm enjoying quite a lot. Is Brush with Fame. I would love to hear your dullest celebrity story.
Dullest celebrity story.
If I
Okay.
feel a pang of envy or intrigue to ask follow-up questions, it's not dull enough.
Shit. Okay. Dullest celebrity story.
Like someone you saw getting off a bus somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, like, I have good ones, but they're going to, like, be pangs of interest.
I'll take a small pang.
No, this is going to be a big pang if I give you that one. So I got to go back a little bit. Actually, one of my favorite ones that is, maybe it's, I guess it wouldn't be interesting because it wasn't actually real, but it was like, I remember one time I was in Florida with my dad, and we were waiting for a plane, and I was sitting there, and my dad nudges me, and he says, hey bud, you see that over there? I said, yeah. He said, it's William H. Macy. I said, no, it isn't. He's like, no, it's definitely him. And it definitely was not him. But he kept being like, hey, pretty sure that's William H. Macy. I was like, it's just like an older redheaded guy. No, it's not.
He has sad eyes, but that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
That's
dull
solid.
brush.
I
That's
like
a
that.
The problem is we started doing this when we were interviewing people we know, and so I knew all their fun stories already, which is one of the reasons why I wanted the boring ones.
That makes
now
sense.
now we're doing interviewing people that I don't know as well. I'm like, I want to know what your interesting ones are, but that's not the question. The next segment usually would be
Speaking of questions.
questions. Is our next segment is usually Are you smarter than Dallas Outsider? Unfortunately, Dallas isn't here, so you're gonna have to find out if you're smarter than me.
All right.
But I have a
Let's see.
I have a college degree. It's in film production, but
I don't have the
Mine's in
theme
media
music
arts,
because
so-
I didn't turn up that fader, so instead we get kind of a comedy drum thing.
okay.
There we go. Are you smarter than Dallas Outsider?
So the game that we're using is the logo game. So it's mostly about corporate America.
All right. I'll see what I can do.
The way it works is best of 5. You get to go first. If you pass or get it wrong, I get a chance. So
Sweet. Okay.
The ball is definitely in your court.
All right. I am pretty good at trivia. I haven't, since I moved to Saskatoon, I haven't done many, but I have not lost a trivia night yet.
Tuesday night at Somewhere Else Pub.
Is
Come
that
down.
right?
It is.
Oh, what time?
7
7.
o'clock.
We'll be looking into that maybe.
We do it quite a lot. It is fun.
My
We do
team-
win most times.
Nice. Well, I'm going to have to come and challenge you.
We came in second the other time and haven't been back since.
We've won a couple times. All right, so gentlemen, your first category question is just what are they? So, what is Mickey D's?
That's
Softball.
That's a pretty softball one. That's McDonald's.
Phenomenal. Question 2. What is Nick L. Nip?
Nick L. Nip.
Nick L. Nip.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one.
Do you know what it is, Ollie?
I'm trying to think of an answer I can give. I can't even think of an. Oh, is it Nickelodeon?
No, it's a candy drink in wax bottles.
Oh, I've seen those ones. I was thinking like candy because I was thinking of Lick-M-Aid.
Not heard of that one either.
Yeah. They stopped calling it that because it sounded like Lick-M-Aid.
That's
That's what we called it when we were kids. But, there's certainly a context that could be taken
Sponsored by
sexually.
Arnold
You could
Schwarzenegger.
Amelia Bedelia into a court case very
That's right.
quickly.
Yes.
All right, question 3. 1-0 here. Pick it up, Ollie.
God damn it.
What brand bet Snackers that they couldn't eat just one?
Oh, that was Mark Messier and Lay's potato chips.
It was.
See, for us, there was Pringles.
Oh.
Once you pop, you just can't stop.
Yeah.
That's here, too. I
Well, we
think,
had that one,
actually,
too.
Well, don't use that one. I'm giving the other go.
Question 4. What magazine developed a research institute that granted some superior products a coveted seal? Seal of approval.
Ooh. Oh, is it? So could you say it one more time?
What magazine developed a research institute that granted some superior products a coveted seal?
Was it J.D. Power and Associates?
No.
Is it Taste Magazine?
No, it's Good Housekeeping.
How about that?
Last question. See if I can get one back.
The last. Well, I was gonna ask what is England's national airline called, but I felt like that was too easy for everyone.
Oh, yeah, I remember what it is now.
Question 5. According to this cable network's advertisements, it's not TV, it's
HBO.
HBO.
CNN.
Not very good TV.
Well, congratulations. You may be known on the internet as Sandwich Dad, but forever here you will now be known as Smarter Than Olli Eldrick.
Nice. I mean, it's not really fair since I get the first crack at all of
You've
them.
lost your only appearance on
No,
the
I've
segment.
lost both my parents as one of them was against Dallas. That doesn't make me feel good. That makes me feel like Will Wallace. I need to scrape the bottom of the barrel with him. Next is usually Dallas is here, so you can sort of get an idea of him as a person to really enjoy words of wisdom with Dallas outside. Dallas is a prolific tweeter.
Oh, yeah.
His Twitter is
don't-
hysterical.
I do not use Twitter for anything other than once a week I go on it to get one off here.
Right.
And it is always something absurd. I was half tempted to go for an actual bit of words of wisdom, not good wisdom, but wisdom nonetheless. And so we've got don't put words in my mouth, that's where the spaghetti goes.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like that.
That's the joy you can get by following Dallas on Twitter. Yeah, he did have Blue Sky for a bit, but he kept forgetting to update it.
Dallas Outsider, or as he was briefly known on Twitter, Frederick Durst.
That was a strange time. Next is our quickfire segment. So I'm going to ask you questions. These are all opinions based.
All right.
I want to know. I just want to get a semblance of an idea of who Sandwich Dad is.
Sure.
For us,
The FBI.
the FBI, any viewers.
Yeah.
Service Canada, if they're listening. Question 1. What's your favorite Will Smith movie?
Movie?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see here. Yeah, Will Smith is funny because I feel like he turned down the role in Django Unchained
Yeah.
to take the role in the crappy Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
Didn't he also turn down The Matrix to be in Wild Wild West?
Yes, he did. But I like Wild Wild West.
He's made a lot of bad movie decisions.
He turned down Inception, too.
You know, the funny thing about Suicide Squad, you know who wrote and created Suicide Squad?
No?
Jon Ostrander. Not me. An older comic book
No
gentleman
way.
who has the same name as me, but with an H. Yeah.
Oh, and no relation then.
No, well, I mean, there's probably some relation. There's not that many of us.
Yeah, it's a very
Yeah.
niche name.
See him at the next family reunion. Ask him.
Yeah, exactly. I remember the first time I ever Googled myself. I was like, who the hell is this guy? I think when you Google it now, I show up a few times, but he's still there.
You're creeping up.
Yeah. Created Suicide Squad. Ruined Will Smith's career. All right. So, favorite Will Smith movie.
So that's not your favorite Will Smith movie. So we
No,
got
that's
one
not-
out of the way.
That's one out of the way. And like, I don't know. I guess I kind of have to say Independence Day.
It's a good
pick.
one. It's,
I like Men in Black is like, I don't know, it's a little bit too like it's fine. I liked it when it came out, but I gotta say, I think Independence Day, which I think that was like one of his like first big movies.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was before Men in Black. Men in Black was after. Yeah. Yeah? Yeah.
Gemini Man wasn't that bad.
It was all right.
I didn't see Gemini Man.
It could have been way worse.
It could have been worse.
Question 2. Best fries in a poutine.
Best brand or best type?
Type usually, but...
I mean, if I'm making it at home, I almost always use like the Cavendish crispy ones because those are kind of, I don't know, man. They're No Name used to have a really good like coated crispy fry, and they used to be like under $2 a bag, but I feel like they disappeared after COVID or something. So the Cavendish ones are probably the best. I like a crispy, or if it's not crispy, then like a house cut, with a little bit of the end skin still on the thing. But like I prefer mine crispy. I like a crispy fry.
I agree.
I want the gravy to have a little bit of a chance to like not quite sog it out just yet.
As I'll always say, I want hot gravy, crispy fries, and cold cheese curds.
That's right.
And let them meld together a little bit.
Exactly.
Question 3. What would be your gladiatorial weapon?
Gladiatorial weapon. There's a rule. I always wanted to go for like the Morning Star because that one seems like so fun. But it also seems like it probably sucks. He said Morning Star too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks like it's so much fun. But I don't think it'd be very effective. I think, if I was going to be practical, I'd definitely go for like, I don't know, maybe double sword wield.
Yeah.
No, maybe single sword wield. I'm definitely not like an axe or a hammer person. I feel like I'm not quick enough to like recover from a big swing of one of those. Whereas a sword, I feel like
You got a little bit more. It's more in the wrist.
I'd say sword and shield. Morning Star if I didn't care about dying and I just wanted to have fun.
No one says AR-15, and I don't know why. 4. What's the best game console?
The best game console. Oh man. Ooh, I've had opinions on this in the past, and they've always changed. I'm a very flexible person when it comes to like those kind of opinions. Like right now, because I have children, I only have a Switch. I have had other PlayStations and Xboxes, but the kids need to have. Like if you have kids and you want them to also leave you alone and play video games, they're not as likely to play on one of like the more grown up consoles.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have a Nintendo around. And then I leave my like more adult gaming to the PC. So I'm gonna have to say at this point in my life, Switch and PC.
PC Master.
My combo.
What was your first? As a sub question.
I had the original Nintendo.
Nice.
8-bit Nintendo. I didn't have another system. Like my parents bought me that like in like 1991 or something. It was already like a couple years like after everyone else had one, and I didn't get another system until I bought like a Nintendo 64 off my friend in like 12th grade.
Yeah.
Like years after that was cool.
Yeah.
And then I went to Xbox 360 when I was in my late 20s, and then I went to PlayStation. You know what? I liked Xbox more.
Oh.
Suck it, Alex.
Yeah.
Well, there's got to be one.
I had a
There's gotta be
PS3
one
for a
person.
while, but I never really liked the PS3.
Oh,
No,
get
I
outta
agree.
here.
I felt like it loaded too slow, and like I didn't like the menu as much. I liked the Xboxes like having like the weird character or whatever that you get.
Yeah.
I remember I really liked my Xbox 360. That was my favorite system I had was the Xbox 360.
That's crazy.
And I have the only other like modern system I've had since is a Switch, which is okay, but I still think the Xbox 360 was my favorite.
I'm my Xbox 360 is my second one I've had. That one's been going now for nearly 20 years.
Wow.
But the first one I had lasted exactly a year. I got it one Christmas morning, and it broke the next Christmas morning.
Dang.
I got Red Ring of Death. Back in the day. The console war has pretty much died at this point. Alex and I are basically keeping it alive only between each other.
Because we won.
Well, I mean, you don't really hear about the new Xbox. I don't even know what it's called. Xbox. Is it
The Series X.
Series X. Like,
It's a dumb name.
where's marketing on this?
I love the system. The marketing sucks.
Yeah. Is the Xbox X better than the PS5?
Again,
I doubt it.
it's imperceptibly different at this
doubt
point.
it.
Yeah.
Doubt it.
PS5 obviously looks the coolest.
Oh yeah.
I like Block.
Better.
Block is fine.
Block fits
Yeah.
on my TV shelf really well.
Call me.
That's true.
5, best meal of the day.
Oh, lunch, obviously.
Yeah, it is.
Breakfast is fine, but I mean, if I'm going to be I'll just have breakfast for lunch then. I'm not going to have it till lunch. If I'm eating breakfast at like 6 in the morning, it's not going to be that good of a breakfast, or I'm still awake. Do you know what I mean? Like if I'm going to have like friggin' bacon, eggs, and toast, which is the breakfast that you want to have, with other accoutrement as well, I'm going to want to have it either not until about 11 o'clock or like because I've been up all day. I'm not going to have it at 6 a.m.
No, unless someone else has made it and you've been up for a while.
Or even like the hotel breakfast when you're like, you got to get up for hotel breakfast. And like my kids get up at 6, because they're stupid kids who get up super early. And I go down and I'm like, I really want to eat all this bacon and eggs and hash browns and toast, but I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not ready for it till lunch. So to answer your question a long way, I love breakfast, but only if I'm eating it at lunch. So the answer is lunch.
That's fair enough. I love lunch, and I will stand by that. I feel like brunch took up too much lunch space, and then that bothers me endlessly.
Yeah, and I don't mind going for brunch if it's 11 in the morning. But
Yeah.
I remember when these were quick fires.
Yeah.
No, not with me. Not with me, man. I told you about how long it takes me to answer things.
Which planet would you kick from the roster?
Oh, which one would I kick from the roster? I'm going to kick Mercury.
Mercury
sucks.
That was quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what's going on there? Nothing. It's just a big red rock. It's basically the sun's moon. Get out of here.
You know what? Fair enough. I'll take that one. That was
Solid.
fast. Question 7. Go-to road trip snack.
Oh, cheesies. Hawkins cheesies, 100%. That's also a super quick one. Sometimes I'll get like Coke in a bottle, which I usually don't get. Usually if I'm at home, it'll be like a can or something.
Yeah.
But like Hawkins cheesies, 100%. And this is from someone who's driven back and forth to the Yukon way too many times.
Yeah. Road
A
trip
bag of
expert.
Hawkins cheesies has to be there with me every time.
Is it you need at least one on the trip, or is there always a bag ready for you?
No, a bag ready for you. That'll dehydrate you very quickly. Like one a trip, I think is probably. If I'm gonna stop and grab something from a gas station, it's always going to be Hawkins cheese. I'm not gonna get any other kind of chips. I'm not gonna get pretzels. I'm not gonna. The drink might vary, but I'm gonna grab a bag of Hawkins cheesies 100% if I'm in a gas station and see it.
That's fair enough. They do look appealing. I just don't like them that much. Soft, puffy cheesies all the way. Cheese pleasers. That's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8. Favorite corporate overlord.
Favorite corporate overlord. That's a good one. Who do I like as a corporate overlord?
I don't think Service Canada counts. I think
No, I mean government corporate overlords are different, right? Because they're more of like a service. So even if they are like kind of terrible, they're trying to like be for the people.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we're talking about like an actual corporate overlord, let's see, who's like okay. The guys from Ben and Jerry's. Those guys are great.
Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Unilever? All right. Question 9. If you had to travel to every country in the world, where would you go last?
Where would I go last? Oh, that's a good question. It's a boring place. Where would I go last? Like the one, the immediate thought I always come to is East Timor, just because you're like, oh yeah, that one little like half of an island in Indonesia.
Yeah.
But also that seems kind of cool. Maybe I want to go there before last. Last would probably have to be something like, you know what? It'd probably end up being because those are cool too. There's like those islands off the coast of Africa, not the Canary Islands, but the other
Sao
ones.
Tome and Principe, Seychelles, Comoros.
Sao Tome and Principe. Because I always forget about those when I'm doing like those quizzes about countries in the world.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where I'd go last because I'd forget about it because that's what always happens in those. Yeah, I don't know.
Some people save the best to last. Some people go for the one they don't want to go to the most. We've had North Korea and we've had Curacao. So we've had...
Yeah. Oh man, that's a really good question though.
To be fair, the Berries guys picked Curacao just to pick on one of their teammates, though. So.
I think the problem is I'd take an opportunity to go pretty much anywhere at any time. So it's like I wouldn't pick one to be last, but I guess like I don't know, probably a more dangerous one. So yeah, probably I guess North Korea would make sense. I mean, if you go to South Korea, you're like there's also one up there, but you can't go there because it's dangerous. I'd be like, okay, so that one will be last then.
Fair enough. And question 10, last question of the quick fires. Got milk?
I do. Always. I have 3 children. If I don't have milk, I'm on my way to the store to get milk.
1%, 2%, or whole?
Well, it's funny because I always grew up in a skim milk household. Yeah, not great. It's what's that Ron Swanson quote? It's like, there are 2 things I hate, liars and skim milk. Skim milk is water lying about how it's milk.
My parents always have skim milk in the house because that's what they put in tea.
Yeah.
I go the other way and I go full fat in mine. Anyway.
And so I go with the 2% now, and I feel like I got permission like once my now wife and I moved in together, because she always had it because she had a kid.
Yeah.
And then when your kids are like, yeah, they're supposed to have fat milk, right? Yeah, you shouldn't give them like non-fat milk. They need to have healthy fats in their life. And so I've been using that as an excuse to drink 2% for the last 10, 15 years. But now I've been buying skim milk as well because
You've become the thing that you hated the most.
well, no, because my wife drinks a lot of lattes. And there's nothing that drains your milk resources faster than someone in your house who drinks lattes.
Yep.
And she's recently discovered that skim milk froth is better. And she's also like obviously trying to cut out always drinking 2% milk. And so, yeah, I always have a 4 liter of probably two gallons of 2%, and then like 1 2 liter of skim in my fridge.
Hey, if it works, it works.
That reminds me, I got to pick up some skim milk.
Check your fridges, guys. Make sure you've got enough milk. Next segment is Do You Want This? This is Alex.
All right. So I've been having a lot of fun doing this segment since I started doing it as a throwaway a couple seasons ago. So this week on Do You Want This, because we're coming up on Halloween season in a few weeks here, you're gonna get your pumpkins going soon. I've got a really gnarly, awesome pumpkin gutter. So do you want this?
Yeah,
Hell yeah!
of course I want it.
This has been Do You Want This?
I got it. This is great.
Is this the first non-wedding item that we've had in a while?
Yeah, I finally threw all of the wedding replacement stuff, so there's no more kitchen stuff to give away, unfortunately.
This counts as kitchen.
I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
it didn't come from the wedding, though.
I didn't get a new one to replace it, though.
Oh, fair
so,
enough.
Like,
Oh no, Halloween's coming up, and like this will definitely be great for scraping.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like a plastic one either, which is usually the ones I end up getting from the dollar store. So
and they always break.
yeah, this is great.
I will
definitely use
I will be
this.
checking your TikTok videos to see if that comes up at any point.
I'll see.
And this next one is X Peg in the Y hole. This goes with the pumpkin
We've been
scraper.
having such a good time with this one,
is
too.
Dallas usually does this. I'll be doing it this time. I'm going to give you a situation. You need to extricate yourself from the situation.
All right.
Using only the item that you have been given.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
We have not discussed. I don't know what the item is, and Alex doesn't know what I've written down here. I need you to get out of a children's birthday party where you don't know any of the parents.
Oh man, like this is.
How do you get out of that
This
situation?
is like. Oh my god, I've been in this situation so many times. Oh my god.
So how would you do it with just a pumpkin scraper?
Oh. You know, there's a lot of excuses I could make to use this. I feel like triggered by this question because I've been in it so many times. I'm like, how can I use this to my advantage to get out of
Vietnam
this?
flashbacks.
Like there's a birthday party for my youngest on Saturday, which also happens to be my wife's birthday. But he got his like first invite to a birthday party. And there's no way I'm staying for it because if I do, I'll be in deep shit because it's also my wife's birthday.
Yeah.
She's already bad enough that he's going, but she can't say no to him because he's her special little boy and has to go to his first invited birthday party at his best friend's house. So I have to.
By the way, you don't have to take this on Saturday. You can find it.
I'm taking it. I'm bringing it with me.
This is just the dress rehearsal.
We're in a pumpkin carving competition and we've been practicing. So much so that I can't get this out of my hand. My hand is fused around this. I can't let go of it because I've been carving pumpkins and practicing for this thing for like the last week.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I let go of it, I'm going to lose the momentum that I have. I've literally got a backyard full of one of those big boxes of pumpkins you see up front of the grocery store. Yeah. I've been going through it and practicing constantly so I can win this competition. I know it's over a month away, but this is really important to me and my family. So I'm going to have to just leave him, if you don't mind, just for a couple of hours. And I will be back at 4 o'clock to get him, I promise. But I really have to finish this. It's super important. Do you mind? Can I go?
That's fantastic.
That's really, for some reason, I thought because it's got like slice serrated edges. For some reason, my mind was going that you were going to simulate a bear attack on yourself.
Well, that might, yeah. Maybe that could work. I accidentally scraped myself with this. I went to scratch my eye.
Yeah.
And,
Instead he scooped it
you know
out.
what? I'm going to have to go and get this checked. I think I scratched my cornea.
To be fair, though, if you clocked the birthday boy with that, that's also going to get you out of the party.
That's true.
Your kid probably won't get any more invites.
But I mean, if I'm going to do that, I'd probably just not go.
Out of the frying pan and into the drunk tank.
This next one is called Wiki Wiki What Now. Alex has found a randomly generated.
How do I bring up the other tabs? Oh, cool. So I've been on the Wiki Roulette before you got here, and I want to. It's kind of like Who Dis, where I'm just going to give you the title of the article and see if there's anything you can say, true or false, about the East Anglian Cup.
The East Anglian Cup. And I can see by the way that your eyes have narrowed towards me, Olli, that you know what this is.
I mean, I can make a more educated guess than most.
I mean, I would imagine it's a. I'm gonna guess. Oh, I'm trying to like guess a sport here, and I guess that I'm going to have to guess proper football somewhere in the east of the British Isles, and it is maybe I'm gonna say like, let's call it like an under 18 football cup. Maybe played in like maybe it's like north. Maybe it's like in like Durham region or something. I don't know.
He's so close. It's freaky, actually.
Is it football or is it
It's
cricket?
football.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it'd be football. Is it Norwich Ipswich?
It's Essex, Norfolk, and Suffolk.
Ah, okay.
But also included clubs from a much wider geographical area, from Boston and Louth and Lincolnshire down to Oxford City, Chelsea, and Gillingham in the south.
Gillingham.
Yeah. Okay.
Gillingham's hard G's.
Yeah, cool. It was founded in 1903 and abolished in 2009, and its most successful club was Norwich, which is the first time they've ever been successful in anything.
It really
Nice.
is. Norwich's club president for the longest time was Delia Smith, who is kind of like England's Martha Stewart.
I see.
But she's a frothing at the mouth football fan. So it's a really weird dichotomy between I'm doing this in my household. Watch how I make this like roast dinner, and then come on,
Yeah.
like she'd be screaming from the manager's box. It was great. That was Wiki Wiki What Now. Next, we're coming up to our final few. This is Booze Clues. Do you have as someone who has been up in the far north of 60, do you have any scary stories you'd like to? Like
Scary stories.
Personal stories.
Supernatural.
Well, if you ever do look up, Yukon Paranormal, there is an episode that I am in.
Nice.
In my Parks Canada gear about a ghost in the Palace Grand Theater. I've never personally experienced it. As far as like scary stories, I don't know. Like, I am not one that's like super into the supernatural. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not super into it. I've never had like an experience that's really freaked me out in that way.
Right.
Which is a huge dichotomy between my wife and I, because she is very much into that kind of stuff. She's like looking up, like buying like those ghost static boxes online and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, we're not like, are we basically talking like, are we talking supernatural? Are we talking just scary in general?
We'll take just scary. If you've had sort of
Just
home
scary
intruder,
in general.
Stalker,
I mean, when you're
late payments on the rent, I don't mind.
Yeah, when it comes to scary up there, a lot of it would mostly involve like animals and stuff. One of the scariest things that I've ever had to experience was actually in way up in northern Newfoundland. It was I was driving kind of around the northern peninsula in Newfoundland because I really wanted to go and see Lanceau Meadows, which is where the first Viking settlements were in North America. But it was like mid-October, so it was closed. The visitors center, so you couldn't like go through the visitors center. The trail was still open, so you could still kind of walk there and go check it out. But the trail was it's sort of a boardwalk around this bog, and it was a big long walk around where the visitor center was, which is sort of like it's like a giant cliff. The visitor center was built into, so you couldn't walk through it or really around it. Mm-hmm. You kind of just had to figure out how to take the trail, and you have to take it all the way back. I was on my own. There was no other cars in the parking lot. And like when you get like way up in Newfoundland, like there's nobody there.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to check it out. So I went and I walked it, and it's eerily foggy and quiet and fall colors, and it's almost like walking through like the scenes in like the Dead Marshes in Lord of the Rings. There's just bog on either side, and you're trying to sit there, and there's no one to pull you out if you go into the light and see, and and fall into there.
Yeah.
But fall also tends to be a time when there's a lot of animals around.
Yeah.
And so I was walking there by myself, and I was about halfway around, and a gigantic, it was a cow moose, basically just like came right in front of me.
Jeez.
And like, as someone who's like kind of an outdoorsy person, was living in the Yukon at the time, even though I was there.
Yeah.
I know how dangerous moose
yeah.
can be at that time of year.
Yeah.
And not just bull moose either. And so it was just me and this giant, and I was terrified, and I just had to kind of like, it was like the hey bear, whoa bear that I teach you when you live in the Yukon. Like, hey moose, whoa moose.
Yeah.
Eventually it kind of meandered back off of the boardwalk, and I could kind of cross. But at that point I started to realize, I was like, wait a second. We're in like northern Newfoundland here. Like, we're not too far off the coast of Labrador.
Yeah.
And I started to think to myself, like, is there polar bears up here? Are there polar bears up here? And I didn't know the answer to the question. It was like pre-smartphone.
Yeah.
I couldn't just be like, is that white thing I see on the other shore there like a giant bag of like salt or rocks or gravel? Or is that white thing I see over there potentially the most dangerous bear on the planet?
Yeah.
My choice was, I was like, well, it's far away. I'm going to go and check out these Viking huts, take some pictures. Yeah, okay, check these out. And then my plan was to take the rest of the loop. But the loop went back to the back of the visitor center.
Yeah.
So the only way out was to go back the other way that I came. I opted not to do that.
Yeah.
And I found like a weird little ATV trail through the bog that went back to the main highway that was there, and bushwhacked through that rather than go back and face to see if that actually was potentially a polar bear.
Yeah.
And when I got back to internet, I was like, are there polar bears like up in like near St. Anthony in Newfoundland? Yes, there are sometimes. Yes, 100% there are.
Thinking, oh no, surely there wouldn't
And like
be.
maybe not in October. Maybe they don't come until the winter. But also, yes, sometimes there are. So I still don't know if that's what I saw or not.
Yeah.
But that was really scary.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good one.
As the classic thing is, like if it's brown, get down. If it's black, fight back. And if it's white, good night. Yeah. I don't want to see a polar bear.
Never.
I do.
Not
that much.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Never in an uncontrolled circumstance when you're by yourself.
I'll take you to the zoo in Winnipeg next time I go back.
I've seen them in zoos, and I remember my friend being like, "That looks sad." I'm like, "I'm glad he's sad, and I'm not dead." Like, I'm just saying, if we're gonna interact, I'd rather he have emotional distress than me be a pile of entrails on the floor.
Yeah.
And the last segment we have for you is red flags of the silver screen.
Oh, okay.
What is your movie hot take? What is a bad movie that you know is bad that you will defend till the day you die?
Oh, that's a good one. A good movie that I know is bad. Oh, I feel like there's a few out there, but there's some that I've changed my mind on. And so I'm going to go totally over towards the art house, and I'm going to say anything by Todd Solondz is a piece of crap. Anyone who likes those movies is, to use a Trailer Park Boys, if you have to bleep it, I don't care, is fucked in the head. And like, I'm not saying that from like an I don't get art house movies. His movies are gross and I hate them. And if you like them, I think probably one of the things that like bugs me the most about it is like, if that's what this person is putting on screen, imagine what their personal life is actually like, or at least what's like inside their own head.
Yeah,
like they're kind of like putting their cards on the table here.
Yeah,
and I don't like that, and I refuse to like any of his movies.
That's awesome.
We've lost the camera in the last couple of seconds, so we will do our final shout-outs. The veil is lifted. You can talk about whatever you want. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much. I don't know why I'm turning to the camera that is off. I'll turn to my microphone. Thank you so much for listening. Do you have anything else you want to shout out or mention to our audience of tens?
Let's see here. If you're around in October, I've got a couple things in 2 weekends in a row. Art Bar on the October 4th, and then at Broadway Theater on October 11th.
That art bar thing actually really bothers me because Carol and Mark She did an album with NQ Arbuckle once upon a time that is one of my favorite albums ever.
Do you want to go to it then?
We can't because we're putting out our EP that night.
Oh shoot!
God damn it.
That's too bad.
Don't move it again.
Oh man, that's really too bad. Like Caroline's been a good friend of mine for quite some time.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
I adore her music.
Yeah, I was really excited that she asked me to play, even if it was playing as Sandwich Day.
So yeah, go to that unless you're coming to our EP release. I guess.
I don't know what time is your EP release. That's the question.
Oh, good. We don't. You can come and pay us anytime, but
We'd be on at 10, I guess.
yeah, we want to 10.
Well, the Caroline show's at 7 because there's another show at 9 in the same room.
Do you want to
So
quickly?
you could potentially come by and see it. Yeah.
I'm gonna
To be
figure
fair, I
that
kind
out.
of want you can go and see her. I'm gonna come see you.
Yeah.
I want to see Sandwich Dad's first live show. I've been here since day one.
Yeah, that's right. You got this is like a real test run. I probably get like 15 minutes, and as you know, I can't keep things like under 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's only like a 2-hour slot for like her and Old Seed who she's playing with. So we'll see.
I do always like that. I do want to point out. One of my favorite things is you always hear tour guides and historical reenactors will always say, "I'm sorry that we overran" at the end of every spiel. Yeah. I've heard that after every single talk, guide, whatever tour, everything.
Yeah.
So I feel like you don't need to apologize. I feel like we just need to assume that it's going to overrun.
yeah.
I have not apologized.
It's part and parcel, man. It's just it's the gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came here to listen to me.
Yeah.
You're here.
I'm trying to give you your money's worth.
In the same way that
Do you have to be somewhere else? Come on, let's go.
in the same way that when there's like clearly only one person working, they're like, "Sorry, I'm late." I'm like, "I know why you're late.
Yeah.
It's fine."
It's very obvious that you're the only person here.
I feel like management should just tell the speakers a different set amount of time.
Yeah.
Give them an hour and a half, but tell them they've only got 45.
Yeah.
And then everything works out. Kind of like what I've had to do with some friends and we've had to do with different people in the past.
Yeah.
Of give them a fake time so they come at the real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even though we lost the camera, check out the video on Outsider Radio YouTube.
We only lost the last couple of minutes.
Save us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Make sure you save our podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. We'll make sure we drop your socials in there. So make sure you go
please do.
follow Sandwich Dad for all of your amazing sandwich content needs.
Follow everyone on Sandwich
And,
Talk. It's a great community. Come join
It is
us.
a really good community.
It's a really wholesome community, and I can't recommend it enough.
And this has been a really fun episode. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you so
coming on.
much.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.